there, I'm Robin Weisner, and thank you so much for joining. I know that we are kind of in a crazy time that no one alive has ever experienced before, and so I've come dressed. I hear lots of us need coffee, and I've got camo pants on. I'm ready to do battle, and I have heard from so many women who have shared the same feeling with me that we are all just kind of struggling to find structure and routine. Even if we normally do have a good routine, we're struggling to find that right now. For all of us, things have changed. We might have more people at home now, or maybe it's just that you know what you need to do and you're having a really hard time just taking action. So just a little bit of background on me. I am a military veteran. I was a veteran homeschooler for 14 years, and I was also a project manager, and now I'm a life coach. So I feel like I have some unique skills that I can share with you to help you turn your chaos into calm in your household during this crazy time. Hey, let's face it, this is only going to last for a couple months, you guys. You're going to be good. So what I want to do is just show you some really simple 3 steps on how you can bring some order into what feels like a very overwhelming and stressful week and day. All right, so let's get started. First step you want to do is a brain dump. Now, I already filled this out somewhat just to save time and give you an idea of one way that you can do this. I did some bubbles here. You could do lists. It doesn't matter. Remember, there's no one right way to do this, and it's not about perfection. But what I did was I came up with just 3 main things that maybe are weighing on your mind right now, things that you want to get done during this time that you're at home. So you might want to take time to do some spring cleaning and declutter the house. You might want to do some meal planning and meal prepping so that you can be on a regular schedule for your meals and not be just eating around the clock, that you can have some snacks on hand, healthy food on hand, and that also helps save money and reduce waste. And then also you might be trying to work with your kids to get their schoolwork done, whether you're a homeschooler or you're a new homeschooler accidentally. I was an accidental homeschooler, just saying. We started 1 year and then we just kept going until we were done. But I usually teach this to my one-on-one clients in the frame of how to structure your workday. And so I wanted to share this video particularly on how to do this right now during this season when you're kind of turned upside down, and how to manage with the kids at home. But you can put any type of big project. These are your big ideas, the big things that are in your head that you want to get done, and you're thinking of all these details that are swimming around. So I'm going to help you dump them out onto paper and then actually put them on the calendar so that they can stop circulating in your head and making you feel extra stressed out. So when you work on coming up with the tasks for each one of these big projects, or whatever these projects, I don't want you to get down to the micro level. Don't get down to the 15-minute little tiny knick-knacky things. I know that there's a great satisfaction for some of us on making a detailed to-do list and having things crossed off. I know some of you write stuff on your list just so you can cross it off. But would you rather have 3 main things on your mind or 1,000, right? You want to narrow it down, because having all those details in your head are going to cause stress. So think in like this is a big block and these are like medium ones, okay? And so if you are choosing to declutter, you might just pick the different areas like the junk drawer, the closet, the pantry, and the garage, just for example. You could put anything you want on there. When it comes to meal prep, these are kind of the steps that I break it down for myself. I start with an inventory. I look at what do I already have on hand, what can I cook with that I already have in my pantry and in my refrigerator. Then I look for dinners. I always start with planning dinner because that's our biggest meal and usually the meal that we all sit down together. Yours might be something different, but I find that starting with planning dinners, that's usually the meal I spend the most time in the kitchen. If I get those planned out, then I can use the leftovers for lunch, use pieces of it over salad or whatever. And then breakfast is usually kind of doesn't take much thought. It can be, slow cooked oatmeal, overnight oatmeal, eggs, some kind of nutrition shake, a bar, whatever. Breakfast is pretty easy. And so I come up with my dinners and I work my way backwards. If I need to look up recipes, then I will do that. And then from there, I form my grocery list. And so I'm going to show you how I fit that into my schedule for the week. And then once I have my grocery list, I'm going to go shopping and get the ingredients. And then there's the actual time it takes to prep my food. So it might be chopping veggies, it might be cooking up some taco meat, whatever that is, the actual prep time. So that is my meal prep bubble. Now, if you're working with your kids at home with schoolwork, I just broke this down. This is very similar to what I did with my boys. Again, I homeschooled them all the way through, so I have some experience. I also taught homeschool, and I help parents do it the same way. Is I broke it down into subjects. I only put 3 on here. Yours might be different, but for example, say they have math homework, and maybe there's 4 chapters, 4 lessons that they need to complete this week. So each one of those lessons is a block. Maybe there's a book that they need to read. All I do, like say for example, if they're supposed to read 1 chapter that week, then I just take the number of pages and I divide it out by the number of days. And by the way, this is something you can totally do for yourself when it comes to if you're doing any kind of study or personal development reading, and maybe you want to just manage your time. If you're like me, I could get lost in reading for the whole day. So maybe just 10 pages a day. Most people can read 10 pages a day. So I break that down. Science, maybe the assignment is to read a chapter and do an experiment and then write a report. So boom, 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 right? Study, do the experiment, write the report. So these are kind of the major pieces of what we're going to block out on the schedule. And like I said, you can do this for anything. You can do this for your work projects. You could do your whole life like this, all right? So I would love to know if this is an amazing aha moment for you. Definitely let me know in the comments below. So step 1 is the brain dump. The brain dump, by the way, should not take you that long. Don't overthink it. This should take you like 15 minutes at the most. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to block it on the calendar. So this is the one that I made. Okay. When we were homeschooling, I had a chart very much like this. It was on a poster board, and I have the days of the week across the top. And since we're kind of on this weird break, I put the weekend on there too, because there might be things that you want to block on the weekend. And then I have the times down the side. Notice I didn't do the entire day. I only did from 9 to 5. You know, it's just those 8 or 9 hours of the day. Homeschooling your kids, doing school with your kids should not take as long as it takes when they're actually at school, because you don't have to do all the other little distractions and things like that they do in a typical classroom day. So remember that, probably 3 hours 3 to 4, 5 hours at the most for your kids. But anyway, so I have these time blocks down. So then what I did was I just took some Post-it notes. You can use any kind. You can get super creative. You can use colored pens, whatever. What I tried to do here was do a different color Post-it for each subject. You could do all your kids' stuff in one Post-it and all of your things in another, whatever. Have fun with it. So I pre-wrote these out. Okay, so we'll start with math. So math has 4 lessons. So on each Post-it note, I did one of those little components. So math lesson 1, and then I put the amount of time it would take. You want to be realistic. You got to get good at estimating how much time things are going to take, and always give a little bit padding there, because can't find your pencil, you get interrupted, whatever that is. So be realistic and don't schedule anything that's less than 30 minutes. So I put math first thing in the morning, because for most, at least in our house, math was the big frog, right? You want to do the hardest things first in the day when you're fresh. The things that require deep thinking, do that when you're fresh. First thing in the morning. You're going to thank me later. You don't want to try to be doing math at the end of the day. This is why a schedule is going to help you. So, and notice I didn't do this first thing in the morning. I did it at 9. And sort of a segue here, a little sidebar. I started at 9 because for you, Mom, I want you to take that time before 9 o'clock. That is your time to get your big rocks in. And by big rocks, if you've ever heard that analogy of the mason jar, you can't put the sand and the pebbles and the water in and then put the big rocks in last. The big rocks meaning what's most important to you, your basic needs. You put the big rocks in first, and then everything else will fit around it. So things like having your devotional time, getting some exercise. I don't care if it's 10 or 15 minutes. Get your exercise, take a shower and get dressed. Those little things that you need to do. Have your coffee in peace. Do that before you start school with the kids, okay? And don't make them get up at the crack of dawn. Like, they need their sleep. But don't let them sleep all day either. Another thing I recommend too is that maybe have a rule or policy, whatever, that they make their bed and brush their teeth before they come down to start school. Maybe pajamas are fine, right? We've done homeschool in our pajamas. That's fine. But something, right? Have that structure. Make your bed, brush your teeth before you come downstairs. So I have math first thing in the morning. The next thing that I would do is I would probably do science, because science also requires that same part of our brain, that logic and reasoning. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. And notice it's not exact times. I don't have the times on these Post-its because they're meant to be moved around however you want. So if it doesn't get done today, you can move it over. So you do your science, read one chapter, say that's going to take about an hour. Okay, then the next day you're going to do your science experiment, and then maybe the report is going to take 2 hours. So let's break it up into 2 days. Maybe finish it on Friday, whatever. Break it up, okay? Kids are probably not going to want to sit around for hours and hours. You don't want you don't want to do that either. You don't want to be cramming all this work done. Spread it out. Take your time and put it on the calendar there. Okay, so after this, you're probably going to want to take a break. Maybe this is a good time to go take a family walk, have them go play some sort of activities in the backyard, some sort of physical activities. It's telling their brain that now we're shifting gears from the deep thinking work. Now we're going to switch to something else. It's really important that you have a break between activities to give your brain a break. Same for you as well. Okay, so they come back in from playing outside. So now maybe we're going to do some reading, and we get, I have these out of order. It doesn't matter. But, reading the 10 pages, and maybe you're going to read together. Maybe this is something that you do together, while you're having a healthy snack. Right? And so then you get that chapter done. And you can spend time discussing it too. Talk about it while you're eating lunch or however you want to do that. Enjoy it. Okay, so that is, right there you have 2 hours of the day blocked out. Plus you would have their free time. That's 3 hours of the day. That might be all you need. I'm not sure what your homework is, but don't overthink it and don't try to keep every minute of the day scheduled either. People who manage multiple priorities, it's really important that you don't schedule your day out 100%. Really, the rule of thumb is 75%, because 25% of your day you're going to get interrupted. It's going to be, the mailman comes, the dog's barking, the phone rings, email, all that kind of stuff. Try to leave white space on there. That also helps reduce stress. You can't, when you're working on one thing, you don't just dive right into the next thing. You might think you are, but you stop and you get a drink of water and you go to the bathroom or whatever. So don't schedule every minute of the day. Okay, chores. Maybe you or the kids have chores. Maybe it's having them bring their laundry down, putting their clothes away, picking up their toys, whatever. Let's say we're going to do that here. Okay, give them something. Everybody during this time where you're home, our human need is to feel productive. We need to feel productive. Not that we're overscheduled, but we need to feel like we're doing something productive. Otherwise, your brain just starts turning to mush. And think about how you might feel at the end of summer when the kids go back to school, that hard shift. Imagine what that's going to be like this year. You don't want that to happen. So try to keep this routine. Even through the summer months, have activities planned and schedule out your time. Have some sort of structure. All right. So that's the kids stuff on there. Now you have your activities you want to do. We talked about, and I'm leaving Friday free. Okay, I want to get back to this. I'm leaving most of Friday free. Why? My policy always was, and I always advise my students and my own kids, front load your weeks. Do the bigger stuff, start with that first. That way, if you don't get it done, you're not running out of time and moving into the weekend. So front load your week with the heavy stuff. And if you need to rethink it and spread it out, you can totally do that. So I'm leaving Friday mostly open. Okay? They can totally get their work done in 4 days, I bet you. Okay. So then let's talk about, you want to do some decluttering. So how about while they're outside, you can work on cleaning out the pantry. That is if you didn't want them to do it with you. You can always make that a competitive sport with them too, I guess. Maybe on Tuesday, you're going to clean out your closet. Wednesday, you're going to do the junk drawer. And let's say Friday, maybe everybody goes and works on cleaning out the garage. And you might need more time and you might move that over to the weekend. But remember, we planned out what areas of your house are you going to declutter. Have a plan. And also, if you set a time, try to stick to that time. Set a timer, and when the timer goes off, stop. So that you're not squishing everything else down, right? And not getting these things done. I know that can happen when you get into the zone and you don't want to stop and you plan on doing something for 30 minutes and you end up spending 4 hours. Everything else gets pushed out. Now you're stressed and you're playing catch up. So try setting a timer and obey the timer. Stop when it goes off. Okay, then the last thing is the inventory. So, or not the inventory, the meal planning. Okay, and this is for you. And of course, the whole family can be involved in this as well. So we're going to say inventory what you have on hand. So maybe you're going to put that. I don't know. Let me make sure you can see it here. On Wednesday, you're going to look and see what you have on hand. And then you're going to figure out what you want to have for dinner. So on Thursday, you're going to spend about 15 minutes, or maybe you're going to do it right after your inventory, right? Figure out what your dinners are, make out your meal plan. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be 7 days or 5 days. It could be 2 days. Whatever it is, just plan out. What are we going to be doing? What kind of food do we need? How's that going to look? Plan it out, okay? If you need to research any recipes, maybe do that on Thursday. And then make your grocery list, okay? 30 minutes. Shouldn't take that long because you've done the inventory. You know what you're out of. You know what you're going to eat. You looked up any recipes. Now you make your grocery list. I like to go grocery shopping on Fridays. You might have a different day, but I like going on Fridays. And I gave myself 2 hours for that because I'm being realistic. I'm including travel time and actual shopping time. And that's the key to all of this, is trying to be as accurate as you can. I should say realistic. You might think you do something in an hour, but it actually is taking you 2 hours. You've got to consider drive time and all of that kind of stuff so that you have a realistic schedule that has rest in it, has peace in it. So grocery shopping, 2 hours. And then on the weekend, do the meal prep, 2 hours max. It should not be complicated. Anybody that works with me knows that I keep my meal plans really, really simple. Bagged salad, basic, lean organic meat as much as possible, fresh or frozen veggies, super, super simple. So whatever that might be, like cutting up veggies for snacks, making some ground taco meat, maybe a breakfast casserole, whatever, setting up the slow cooked oats, setting that up, whatever that is, shouldn't take that long. Don't overthink it. You don't have to be super mom. But I hear from so many women who say, I would meal prep if I had more time. I would exercise if I had more time. You have more time. You have more time now. You really do. You are in control of this schedule. And 3 or 4 months is going to pass by. Summertime is going to be here, ready or not. This will be behind us. And the question you have to ask yourself is, how do you want to walk in to summer? Or how do you want to walk into the fall? Right? What if you were able to really figure out how to get that meal prep menu down to a T? You got your kids set into a routine. No, it's not going to be perfect, but you guys have this system that works for you, that you have order, and then everyone feels more comfortable. We all feel better when we have a routine and a structure. So that's the plan. That's how it works. So we start out with doing the brain dump. Then we break it down into these tasks and put it on the Post-it notes. And then we schedule it. And then the thing is, excuse me, what's really cool is that, number one, if one thing doesn't get done, guess what? You can move it over. But the other thing that one of my boys really loved is taking these off as they were done. And then you can see at the end of the week, you've got an empty sheet. So that worked really well for them. For one of my boys, he really liked seeing the whole week at a glance. He liked that. So he wanted to know what was coming up. That made him feel good. My other son, he felt that was overwhelming. He just wanted to know, tell me what I need to do today. So I would give him an index card, and I would just have on there, today you're doing one math lesson, reading 10 pages, reading your science chapter, and doing your chores. And he would take his little thing and check that off and toss it when he was done. So I would just use this, write up the index card, and give him his card, and he would be good to go. So this is a great way for everyone to set expectations. I recommend that on the weekends, on Sundays, you all sit down and talk about what your plan is for the week coming up. Look at the calendar. Let them know how you're planning to schedule out their week. Everybody sees it. Most conflict comes from unmet expectations. So set everybody's expectations at the start of the week. Put this in a place where everyone can see it, and you will be good to go. So thank you so much for your time and attention. I really hope this blesses you. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to see pictures or stories of how this worked for you. And if you're interested in learning more about what I do as a life coach for women, I would love to hear from you. I do have other courses and one-on-one coaching that I offer, and you can find out more at my website, robinweisner.com. Thanks, and have a blessed day.